I call David Garrett.
Mr Speaker, members will be aware that in my short time in the House, I always am extremely pleased when the House can agree. And this is another one of those relatively rare occasions, Mr Speaker, where there's agreement from all sides. But even better than that, I moved to rise. I wasn't going to, Mr Speaker. I moved to rise and register our support, and also my agreement with an excellent speech by Ms Cipollone. Yes, I never thought either, Ms Cipollone, that would ever occur. Well, I'm sad to hear that, Mr Speaker. I really am. Some of the nastier members of that side of the House have done this as well. That when I've got up and praised one of their speeches, some of the nastier members have said, "Oh, I'll have to change my mind." And I did not think that Ms Cipollone was one of those members, and I'm very saddened that she's moved to do that when I have made the effort to get up and say, "Well done." And the thing that I liked of her in her speech, Mr Speaker, as all members will know, I'm a very compassionate man. And one of the things that I've drawn attention to in the three strikes legislation is the manifestly unjust proviso, which allows judges to avoid consequences. Now, Mr Speaker, I've said in speeches on that topic that one of those situations where I think it would be manifestly unjust to apply that law in its as written is where there is a lengthy delay between earlier convictions in one's youth and then a period of exemplary living, and then something happens, and it's linked very closely to this bill. In fact, a night out down Courtenay Place, sadly, can turn wrong for all sorts of reasons, and a fight can turn into a death for all sorts of reasons. And like Ms Cipollone, but not just in my youth, I have seen those instances that she talked about. And I've said to audiences, Mr Speaker, that in my view, the manifestly unjust provision of the three strikes provision should be applied in that way, that if someone had had 10 or 15 years of blameless living, then clearly it would be manifestly unjust to send them to jail for life for a manslaughter which occurred in a fight. So I agree entirely with Ms Cipollone on that point, and I think that if security guards, bouncers, or men of my generation know them as bouncers, have had some convictions in the past but have cleaned themselves up and have come up with it's not a profession of course, but a perfectly respectable and legal occupation, then it would be unjust. And I'm against injustice, Mr Speaker. It would be unjust to deny those people continuing employment. So we support the bill, and I applaud Ms Cipollone for that speech. I'll just add, since everyone seems to have an anecdote in this debate, Simon Bridges talked about the man with the lawn mowing contractor. Mr Speaker, I lived for a considerable time in New Plymouth, and a close friend of mine worked for ACC. And I remember her huge frustration that even when it was known in the town that this fellow with a terribly crooked back who could not work at all, not even in a clerical capacity, was nevertheless a champion bowler, which, as the older members of the House will know, involves a fair bit of bending. And she was very frustrated, Mr Speaker, that it was she was a very, and is to this day, a very sensible woman, and said to her employer, ACC, surely we can get the private investigators along to photograph this guy. He was even reported in the paper as having won certain cups at bowls tournaments, but no, it was against his human rights to be photographed while bowling, but it was quite okay for him to be claiming money from ACC, which of course is tantamount to theft from the hard-working taxpayer. So, Mr Speaker, there's my anecdote to join the others, and we're very happy to join the rest of the House in supporting this measure. Thank you.
Can't all